Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh, and here we have a game between Liquid Tyler, the green Protoss down in the bottom left of Xel'Naga Caverns, and ThisIsJimmy, the purple Terran up in the top right. This game was played as part of the MSI, or the Evil Geniuses Masters Cup series. It was a very large tournament. I think 380 people started out in the tournament. This was in the later brackets, I think round of 32, I believe. And I think this was a best of 3 series, but I'm only going to cast this one game by request, so hopefully it's a good one. I haven't actually watched all the way through it yet. And Tyler, just sticking a pylon right there. Basically, if we don't see the very standard Protoss and Terran builds, that's the only thing even really worth commenting on, since we see those builds so very often. Terran will almost always go straight up for that orbital command, and Protoss players will almost always go straight for that cybernetics core. It's very, very, not rare, but like, I don't know, interesting to see when a player doesn't do that very standard build, and at least it spices the game up a little bit. But it looks like both players are going to be going a little bit more standard this time around. Of course, they are very good players, and you want to do the best build available to your race. Cybernetics core, of course, is the keystone for the Protoss tech trees. You can't really do anything without a cybernetics core except for 2 gates right away and try to do a bunch of zealot harass. Xel'Naga Caverns, not really a great map to be doing that kind of stuff. Proxy gates, maybe every once in a while, but the fact that Terran can wall off very quickly with a bunker means that it's just not that viable. And Terran, on the other hand, proxy racks are always fun to see, but again, just not that viable. Some players are a little bit riskier than others. Players like ThisIsJimmy just prefer to play a bit straight up. And ThisIsJimmy, I actually do know a little bit about his PvT. I've seen several games where he will actually go for a pretty quick starport. He likes to mix in Banshees, Vikings, and Ravens into his army so that he can throw down some point defense drones, block those stalker shots, get the Banshees to cloak even, and just take out the ground forces of the Protoss. Protoss really don't have a great counter for that except for Phoenix Colossi, and that usually will require 2 to 3 bases, whereas you can actually 1 base out a pretty good number of air units as Terran. So Jimmy and Tyler have a little bit of a worker fight there, but Jimmy actually scoots right past him and into the main of Tyler, so he's going to see everything that's going on. Fortunately for Tyler, he hasn't done anything too crazy for Jimmy to see. He will probably spot this second gas here in a moment, which will give him a little bit of a clue as to what Tyler's doing. But really, again, not that much, as Protoss need gas for all those tech options that they have. 4-gate is really the only thing that wouldn't really require a second gas very quickly, and even then, you would want that second assimilator to be able to afford lots of stalkers and sentries. So Jimmy, on the other hand, he is going to actually do a 1 Rax expand, so the air play that I described earlier, not going to be as likely after seeing this. He is going to bunker up his ramp. Actually, I probably should have noted that. Just that he was building at his ramp here instead of just building very quickly closer to his mineral line meant that he was going to be going for a little bit more of an economical defensive play, and the command center here being built supports that. And a second barracks being thrown up. Probably we'll be seeing 3, maybe even 4 barracks before Jimmy starts going up towards medevacs. And a Reaper is out now, so Jimmy might actually be able to get some more scouting information. The Stalkers blocking the ramp would prevent an SCV from coming in, but of course that Reaper can just hop up this cliff and see this Stargate that is now down for Liquid Tyler. 3 gateways and a Stargate about to start producing units at maximum capacity. ThisIsJimmy actually has a worker over here. I thought that might be Tyler's waiting to drop a Nexus, but Jimmy is there at the ready to block that from happening. This Reaper for Jimmy just walking around now, making sure there are no proxy pylons anywhere near his base. Does not want to get caught off guard if he does try to drop this orbital command over at his natural. Notice he builds the orbital command first so that he can actually drop a mule before flying it over. That saves a little bit of time, as you know, time spent flying is not time spent mining. And this probe is going to be gunned down quite quickly by the few Marines that are here. Tyler probably knows that some higher tech units are going to be on the way. He's building Void Rays himself. Right now his army consists of solely Void Rays and Stalkers. If you look at the production tab though, Jimmy actually getting upgrades for his infantry. He's up to 3 barracks now, one of them getting a reactor, so he's going to be making a lot of Marines with stim, combat shields, and the works basically. And if he can figure out that these Void Rays are coming, I'm not sure where that Reaper ended up, but Tyler Does have a proxy pylon here at the gold. The Reaper is still just checking all these other spots on the map. I don't believe he's seen that proxy pylon. No, and he hasn't. Oh, he did actually see the Stargate with a nice scan, so Jimmy knows what's coming. He's building lots of Marines to try to prepare for these Void Rays. He does not have a factory up yet, so Vikings will not be viable yet. There's the factory coming up now. Jimmy does have good vision here with this Xel'Naga tower, so as soon as Tyler starts to move out, actually, no, he won't be able to see that. Oh, yes, he does. He does see the Void Ray coming a little early, so he can dump all these Marines into the bunker, which, of course, give him that nice +1 range. These Void Rays are going to do some spotting for all the Stalkers here on the low ground, and they probably will be able to take out this barracks. No, maybe not. Jimmy tries to take off all these SCVs here, able to repair this bunker back, so these Marines actually could do okay against this. He's blowing up his own tech lab now to secure an exit, so that these Stalkers and Void Rays can't just pick apart his base from the sides. Now he can get his Marines out of there if he needs to start working on those Stalkers. But these two Void Rays are here now, working down this refinery. They're going to be charging up quite quickly. ThisIsJimmy responds with his stimmable Marines. I don't think he's going to be able to get a kill on either of those right now, but at least he does have combat shields up. He is going to be able to withstand some Void Ray shots, and as well as stem up at his own discretion there to try and take out these Void Rays if they get a little bit too close. And Tyler, I want to keep an eye on the production tab here. He did get a robotics facility built here and is just throwing up pylons as well to support his growing army. Jimmy at 57 food. Tyler, I believe, was a little bit ahead there at 62, but really not too much of a discrepancy. Jimmy actually built a bunker here to prevent a Nexus from being dropped, and Jimmy already has that orbital command ready to go whenever he's able to float it over there. He actually built lots of SCVs, so he will just be able to transfer immediately as soon as that orbital drops down there. So Tyler eliminates that bunker threat. He will be able to expand there whenever he chooses. These Marines do a good job keeping these Void Rays at bay. This one actually has full shields, but 0 kills. Neither player actually losing many units at all. Jimmy may have lost a few Marines there. More likely he lost that Reaper that was watching that Xel'Naga tower. That's where those resources came in there. But right now, not a lot of damage has been done to either player. They're still just kind of poking in and out at each other. Jimmy has sort of lost his map vision by losing that bunker over at Tyler's natural. He's not sure what's going on. That Nexus, as we can see, is going up. And Jimmy's just trying to secure his own natural right now. Even though he had this orbital command up forever, he has not been spending the energy on it. You can see it's up to about 150 now. He was too worried about those Void Rays to actually use any mules or scans or anything like that. An observer for Tyler is now in the base of ThisIsJimmy. He's going to be able to see everything that's going on, including these two Vikings coming out, but he doesn't know that they're Vikings. They could be medevacs, and actually I would probably guess that they would be medevacs just because of the huge bioforce that's here. Vikings, of course, are a great decision because they will be able to kite those Void Rays if need be. What else is going on here? We got another barracks building for Jimmy and a supply depot. Tyler, on the other hand, content with his one Stargate and couple of Void Rays. He is not continuing that path anymore. He's getting a robotics bay up instead to deal with the mass ground forces that he believes Jimmy will be creating in the next few minutes. Lots of tier 1 units out of those gateways hanging around. Lots of good support here. These sentries will be able to drop force fields all over those Marines and Marauders as he starts to mix those in as well. Vikings, of course, will be great against Colossi, so whether Tyler continues to make Void Rays or starts building Colossus, those Vikings will come in handy. And there comes the first Colossus. He is not getting the range upgrade just yet. Doesn't have quite enough gas for that. He does have a good view here of everything that ThisIsJimmy is doing. He can see these Vikings clearly, all these Marauders and Marines coming out. Another barracks being added on. I don't know if Tyler's seen those two coming yet. No, so soon Jimmy will be on 5 racks. He does have a scouting factory going along now. He's not choosing to build any siege tanks or Hellions or even Thors out of that. Instead, he's going to be focusing on just air and ground army here. Very basic units here. Marines, Marauders, Vikings, medevacs. Nothing fancy, no tech lab starport units like Banshees or Ravens. I still like the thought of a Raven for point defense drone against all of these Stalkers, but it's up to Jimmy, not up to me. A Colossus does finally finish here for Tyler. Let's see if he chooses to move out anytime soon. He's at 115 supply here against 121 of Jimmy, so Jimmy actually pulling ahead a little bit. Let's look at the income of both players. Jimmy has 10 more SCVs. You can see that clearly in the mineral difference. Having that many more SCVs and mules on your side means that you're going to be getting a lot more minerals. Gas is actually a little bit ahead as well, as Tyler does not have that 4th assimilator finished quite yet. He's building more pylons right now, more Colossi, Phoenixes. Okay, so Tyler's transitioning from Stalker Void Ray into Phoenix Colossus, which is a really strong combination. Jimmy's Air Force looks to be pretty stout so far, though. Here he does actually pick off that... How did he pick that off? He must have dropped a scan. Hey, he picked off that observer very quickly. Let me set to busy. Don't want to see all that stuff. Jimmy choosing to move out now after picking off that observer. This would be a pretty good time to see. Pretty good time to move, as Tyler cannot see this movement coming out now. He doesn't know if Tyler has any observers placed